Hey freshmen, gonna walk you through the notes all the way to here. This is where we'll begin on Monday. So, I think the farthest away any block is how do I become freer? So remember to situate this, we're talking about freedom in the context of love. The whole point of freedom, the reason why God gives us freedom is so that we have the ability to love. Because love can't be forced. So, how do we become freer? By doing good. Catechism 1733, we've read this one before, but the more one does what is good, the freer one becomes. There's no true freedom except in the service of what is good and just. The choice to disobey and do evil is an abuse of freedom and leads to the slavery of sin. So freedom is something you grow in, you mature in, hopefully, and you become freer by continually doing good, just like with language, right? The more I speak Spanish, the better at Spanish I get. The more I practice violin, the more effortless my violining becomes. So, by doing, I don't know how to spell. By doing good, we become free. And this is cool, the progression here. By doing good, we become free. By being free, we can love and be loved. By loving and being loved, we become happy. At which point you might be thinking, Mr. Mulaney, are you saying that unless you're free, you can't be loved? What about parents who love a kid who isn't free? So you might be able to be loved, but whether or not you can experience that love is a separate question, right? So I can experience much more love. 33-year-old me can experience being loved much more fully than 7-year-old me could, right? Because I can understand the sacrifice that my parents made on my behalf, and the different ways in which they willed my good. And so I can experience that love in a deeper, fuller way. And it's because I'm freer. So, the problem with sin is that it prevents us from doing good or loving ourselves and our neighbors. This is why God hates sin, right? It's not because I'm God and I said don't do it, and oh, you're doing it, oh, I hate sin. God wants us to be happy. That's why he makes us. In order for us to be happy, we have to be able to love, so he gives us free will, like he's free. He wants us to use our free will to love. Sin is just anything that clogs up our ability to love and gets in the way of our happiness. So, simple enough, right? Like by doing good, I can become free. Freedom gets me loving and being loved. That gets me happiness. The next hard thing, though, is it's not always clear what good is, right? If I want to do good, it's like, okay, let's do good. But then how do I determine what makes our actions good or bad? 3 things that need to be considered. 1, the object chosen or the act itself. 2, the end in view or the intention. 3, the circumstances of the action. We can plug those in. The object or the act itself. The intention. Circumstances. So the act itself is the actual action undertaken. So let's give an example here. Let's say I cook dinner for my wife and daughter. That's the action undertaken, cooking a meal and providing food for my wife and daughter. Some actions can never be considered good, such as rape or murder, since no one with a properly formed will and conscience would ever say it benefits the person acted against. So it's really a question of benefit. The act itself, is it benefiting anyone? How so? So yeah, creating dinner for my wife and daughter is benefiting the person. So far, so good. Good act. Intention. This is the goal of the action undertaken. This is subjective. That is, it depends on each person. We can sometimes have more than one intention in a single action, performing a service in order to meet an obligation and to impress someone. We can sometimes have a single intention guiding multiple actions, doing many acts of service, all out of a single intention of love of God and neighbor. So, what's my intention in making dinner? Well, to be honest, I really just wanted to try out this new recipe. Um, and the fact that I was feeding my wife and daughter wasn't really on my mind. I just wanted to try out this new thing. Um, so that's my intention. Got, let's say, dinner. Making dinner. Try out recipe. Circumstances. This is a secondary consideration. It can only add to or diminish the goodness/evil of an action and or the person's responsibility for that action. It cannot make an otherwise good act evil or an otherwise evil act good. Let's say I also spent way too much on the groceries, right? It was specialty mushrooms or a really expensive cheese that was just like, whatever. Budget be darned. So, yeah, I spend a lot of money. So, in order for an action to be considered morally good, all three need to be good. That is, they must be directed towards love. So, yeah, what on the surface seems like Mr. Mullaney, husband and father of the year, making dinner for Alexis and Carolyn. Oh man. Turns out, upon further reflection, to not be really a great act, right? Because my intention is like, try a recipe. I mean, it's neutral, right? It's potentially good. And then the circumstances make it, yeah, not good at all. It's kind of a jerk move, right? Especially, let's say, especially if it were a night where my wife was looking forward to a particular meal, I'm like, oh, your preferences be darned. So, yeah, it's this one we would say is neutral to bad, right? Neutral to evil. All three have to be good if we want to consider it morally good. So, it is therefore in error to judge the morality of human acts by considering only the intention that inspires them or the circumstances, environment, social pressure, duress, or emergency, etc., which supply their context. There are acts which, in and of themselves, independently of circumstances and intentions, are always gravely illicit by reason of their objects, such as blasphemy and perjury, murder and adultery. Here's the key line that you need to fill in. One may not do evil in order that good may result from it. So, this is a bright line that separates Catholic morality from other philosophies and ethical systems. In the Catholic moral system, you cannot do evil in order that good may result from it. Another way of saying this is that the ends do not justify the means. Famous examples in history. Hiroshima and Nagasaki. America dropped nuclear bombs on Japan, and it really was evil in that those places were targeted specifically because they had a lot of non-combatants and a lot of civilians. They were not important targets. Moreover, the more we learn about the history of it, seems like Japan had signaled their willingness to surrender relatively soon, within a couple weeks, and it was totally unnecessary from a strategic point of view to showcase the bomb. So, yeah, if you were to talk to a lot of Americans, I recently looked at the statistics, and it's still like a majority of Americans think that it was justified because it ended the war. Even if that were true, even if this is the thing that ended the war, it would be wrong to drop those bombs according to Catholicism. Because, yeah, it's still going to make us less free by doing that. Cool thing here is I remember this three-part system as CIA. Circumstances, intent, act itself. That's how you judge the morality of any given action. And we're talking about actions here, not persons. We're not to judge persons, right? We don't have the ability to, nor the inclination, I hope. But in terms of what actions are good or bad, clearly we need to figure out which actions are good or bad, because that's how we become free, and that's what enables us to love and be loved more and more, which is our path to happiness. And we'll pick it up from there on Monday. All right.